Hi friends, Shayla here. So I'm here to kick off a new reaction vlog for you. I am finally getting around to the next episode of the Black Dagger Brotherhood reaction vlog series. So in this one, we will be doing books 7 and 8. I will link the playlist where you can find these videos for the entire series. I'm just reacting to 2 books at a time throughout the series. And so in this one, we'll be doing book 7, Lover Avenged, and book 8, Lover Mine. I meant to get to these last month, ran out of time. I'm so excited to be diving back into these. I've had a lot of distractions. I meant to get to this earlier this month, but between Midnight Sun and a lot of other arcs that I needed to get to that, you know, were releasing by September 1st kind of situation, these had to go on the back burner a little bit longer. So I'm really excited to finally be diving into these. I've been craving me some vampire, especially because I had a Carpathian novel for my arcs, and so I'm ready for some true vampire, not Carpathians. And so we'll be starting with Lover Avenged. And in this one, we're following Revenge. And I'm not 100% sure who his female counterpart is going to be. I don't know if we've met her yet. My gut says we have, but I'm not 100% sure. So this is going to be interesting. Revenge has been around a while. He is not your typical vampire. He has additional powers. And he is very sensitive to, like, I don't know how to explain it. Once I get back in, hopefully it'll help me re-explain it. My brain does not want to come up with that information right this second. But yeah, this is the next book, and I'm really I'm ready. I am so ready. My body is ready. Let's go ahead and dive in. I will check in again once I've read some of this, or once I can explain Revenge's powers. Or if once I meet his female counterpart. This one is longer than any of the others so far. We are well into 600 pages for this one. And I think before the longest we were in like the mid 500s. And Lover Mine is equally long. So these are both longer. I feel like they've gotten longer as the series has progressed, and that's fine by me. I don't mind a long book. So yes, very excited to be doing this vlog. I've kind of been missing my Black Dagger Brotherhood. I've been jonesing, so I gotta get this video uploaded. That's why my computer's like right here. I'm not even sure if it's in frame, but I'm telling you because yes, I keep waving this way. But it's finally my Midnight Sun reaction vlog. I was just slow on editing it. So that's finally going up, and I don't know when you guys will see this one. It depends on how long it takes me to read these. So it's gonna be an adventure, but an adventure I'm excited for. Okay, so time for a quick update. I'm now about 100 pages into Lover Avenged. So in this one, as I said before, we're following Revenge. Revenge has now been invited to take out Wrath because people feel like the king isn't doing his job with this war that's been going on for a long time with the Lessers. And then we have all of the medical side effects of Revenge dealing with his condition. I'm trying to purposely be vague. People who've read it will understand what I'm talking about. And if you've read the other books, you'll have an inkling of what I'm talking about. But anyways, he has some symptoms that start to flare up, and he heads over to Haver's clinic. Working at Haver's clinic, we have, I believe her name is Elena. Yeah, Elena. And she has a father who has a lot of mental issues, and they thought he was going downhill really quick, but it's been 50 years now, and he's still kicking, but his brain is not all there, so he's just kind of hard to care for. And Elena was considering going out on a date with one of the males of her race, and it ends up that she had kind of decided to not go on this date, but she ended up stood up anyway. And while at work that night, obviously because she works at Haver's clinic, she ends up being the one to treat Revenge, and they have a flirty moment, but Revenge is like, no, she deserves better than me. And he basically says, sorry, but here's my card if you want it. And she says, no, I will never do that, even though she really does like him and has thoughts about him. On the subplot end of this one, we have obviously the subplot with the Lessers. But we also have some things going down at Zero Sum where Revenge is the owner of the club, and one of their employees has been murdered, domestic violence style. So trigger warnings for that throughout the series. If I haven't given that trigger warning, I don't remember. But anyways, she's found dead. Zex has to go and identify her body, and John Matthew notices that Zex hasn't been doing her normal patrols at the club, so he doesn't want to leave, because they're totally going to be together in the next book. Like, because I know book 8 is John Matthews, so I'm pretty sure it's Zex that he ends up with at this point. So obviously we're dealing with the subplot with them and the club and their chemistry, as well as Revenge and Elena and this potential murder plot. And Revenge doesn't know where he sits. With his sympath kind of powers, he's considering it, but at the same time he's like, but he's kind of my friend. So I don't know if I want to do this. And it's really interesting because he's kind of evaluating, well, if I was a better man, would Elena even want me? And she's like, he's worth more than my entire life. And so they've put themselves like that they're not worthy of each other. So it's going to be interesting to see how J.R. Ward approaches this one. But since I was about 100 pages in, I wanted to check in and let you guys know kind of my initial thoughts, what I was thinking. I am going to keep reading tonight for a while, and I will check in tomorrow to talk to you about what I read. Good morning, friends. So I just wanted to touch base with you. I did read another 100 pages in Lover Avenged last night, and I really like how the dynamic between Revenge and Elena is developing. It's kind of developing a little more slowly because they're relying on like phone calls to interact with each other right now. And I'm totally okay with that. And honestly, like there's so much going on in this one. We also have like an additional subplot with the Brotherhood, obviously, and about how members of the Brotherhood who have been kind of MIA from being on the streets patrolling for the lessers are now itching to get back out there, and they're breaking tradition and protocol to do so. And it's one of those things where it's going to be really, really interesting. Like this feels like a huge, almost like linchpin in the Brotherhood story, more so than like the story for the character. I mean, Revenge is going to have to make a decision at some point, and there's a good chance he'll make a play to kill Wrath and end up being part of the Brotherhood instead. That's what my gut is telling me, because they'll make him part of the Brotherhood to protect him for his sympath powers. This is my boo-boo the fool moment. I could very much be a fool by the end of this, but that's kind of how I'm calling it right now. And Elena, I really like her character. And the guy who stood her up ended up murdered instead on his way to like go on a date with her. And that's messing with her. And Rev had to deal with the princess. And so they both kind of had a bad moment, but they were able to come out laughing in the end with their conversation. And I really like their dynamic. I'm excited to see where that dynamic is going to go. And you know, Wrath has been secretly fighting on the streets for months now. Everybody's kind of mad at him because if their king dies, the race is screwed, essentially. And so, yeah, it's going to be good. Like, I'm so excited to see where this is going to go. So I need to go grocery shopping because I am out of certain important things. And yeah, I'm going to go get that done early this morning. And then I'll probably read another about 100 pages and check in with you again. So I'm now about halfway through Lover Avenged, and this is proving to be very interesting. Not only the like outside atmosphere that we're dealing with within this one, we have a lot of changes within the Brotherhood going on. We have all the stuff going on with Tor and with John Matthew and Zex, and then we have the stuff with Revenge and Elena. And they've finally kind of gotten to a point of intimacy, we'll say. And that had some things happen within it that made my heart very happy, but are going to be interesting plot points for the rest of the book. And I just reached a point where Revenge suffers a loss, I guess we'll say, for lack of major spoilers for someone who's watching this that might not have read this book yet. But he suffers a big loss, and it'll be interesting to see how things move from here. Hi, good morning. I'm about to head out to work, but I wanted you to know I'm about 425 pages into this book now, and the intensity of things continues to amp up, and the amount of connection that Revenge and Elena have continues to grow. I know there's going to be a huge fallout in regards to the princess coming up here soon, and we also have to have a moment where Revenge and Wrath have out the secrets that Revenge has been keeping for a long time. And I think that's coming sooner rather than later. We've had and some intensity with Zex and John Matthew, obviously leading up to their novel, which is the next one. It's really interesting. Like, I just continue to stay invested in this. I do try to keep these vlogs not full of spoilers. So anyways, I'm going to take this to work with me. I would love to get this finished today so I can get going on the next one. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for. That's a little over 200 pages, but that's totally doable because I did that yesterday. And I have time while clients are processing and in between clients to read a bit. And then I'll have some time this evening, obviously. So I think I'm not going to check in on this one anymore unless something super crazy happens and I have to talk to you guys about it. So it's the next day from the last clip, and I finished Lover Avenged last night. And I have to say, there was a lot of really good things, not only for Revenge and Elena within the story, but I feel like the overarching story got a lot more interesting personally. I mean, bringing the sympaths fully into the plot with the story with Revenge was smart of Ward, because that gives her a lot more like wiggle room in who she can explore, I guess you could say, within the series. And we get the story of Wrath officially losing his sight and how not only he handles it, but the Brotherhood and Beth and everybody around them. And I think that was handled in a way that felt realistic and true to the characters at the same time. I mean, you have this big, proud man who doesn't want to accept help, having to learn to accept help in the form of a guide dog and all those wonderful and amazing things. And I really love how that all came together in this one. I'm not 100% sure how I'm feeling going into this books now, because Zex has been kidnapped by Lash now. So who knows what that pervy a-hole's doing to her, for one. And for two, her and John Matthew have been kind of on the outs for quite a while. And I don't know how to feel about that situation. Like, when this first started getting introduced within the series, I was all over it. But now I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. John Matthew has changed so much. A lot of what I loved about him, I don't even know if that exists within his character anymore. So I think how this book plays out will determine that, obviously. I mean, he's already realizing that Zex is more important to him than he was originally letting on, even to himself, which is a good step forward. Okay, checking in real quick. I'm now about 60 pages in to Lovermine, and it's been interesting so far. We're getting a lot more Quinn and Blay and their dynamic and drama, and I know their book is upcoming. I know we're getting the buildup for them, kind of like we've been getting the buildup with John Matthew. I believe he popped into the series in book 1. Book 2 at the latest, but I'm pretty sure it was book 1. My brain is not wanting to remember at the moment. I'll have to go back and watch my own reaction vlog to discover it. But in this, kind of first thing he does is he wants to honor Zex in his own way. And so he uses the old language to get a tattoo with her name on him. And so that he's always got her with him in a way, because he feels like they won't work out. We know with the way the series goes that they're definitely going to work out. In the meantime, Lash is holding her hostage in a shielded room and basically making her his own, like, taboo, super messed up sex slave. I mean, there kind of isn't any other way around that. That's really kind of what Lash is doing to her. Originally, it was just going to be, you know, he was going to tear away at her because he stole the person he loved, or she stole the person he loved from him. So, eye for an eye kind of situation. But then he got off and got excited on the fact that she was fighting back. And it just became this big, weird, kind of kinky mess. And so she obviously continues to look for an out. Hasn't been able to find one yet because she is shielded and protected in her little prison. The other thing that John Matthew does is he reaches out to a couple of the other guys that worked at Zero Sum with Revenge and Zex. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce her name. If I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time, please correct me down below. But I wouldn't know how else to pronounce that. He reaches out to them basically to trade information, as you could say. And there's some dramatic, overly dramatic, if you ask me, things going on between Quinn and Blay, as I kind of alluded to. Basically, we see how hurt Blay is with Quinn's, you know, having to hook up with everyone behavior. And we also see Blay get hit on and Quinn acting jealous of that. And so their dynamic is going to continue to be interesting. We're going to get a lot of them in this novel just by nature of their association with John Matthew. So that is something we're going to be experiencing. So yeah, this one I think is just going to be a little more chaotic than some of the other ones, is just kind of the general feel I'm getting with everything going on within, you know, their vampire society. All the changes that are going on and everything. It's just, there's going to be a lot going on. I mean, there was quite a bit going on in the last ones, but it still felt cohesive in its own way. And this one, I think, will just feel a little more chaotic just because we're jumping around a little differently. And I'll be interested to see how much Tor is actually talked about in this book because of the fact that he is back and everything now. So it's just gonna be a journey. Okay, friends, we need to talk about Lovermine. I haven't checked in with you in a while. I'm now almost 300 pages past where I last checked in. I know, I've been meaning to do a check-in for a while, but I just kept reading because it was so good. Okay, so I know I was really skeptical about this. And the plot is proving to be much more interesting. Basically, I'm pretty sure we have a brother that's been in hiding for a long time, and we're getting hints at who he is through these like paranormal investigators, which I'm kind of loving that little subplot right now. But the other thing we have going on is, so Zex got away from Lash, and obviously there was trauma associated with all of that. And apparently she's got issues with medical things. We don't know too much about that yet. They have Doc Jane look at her, ends up having to have surgery, things like that. John Matthew's at her side as much as she wants him there. And they start to kind of share glimpses into each other. And John Matthews kind of bore his history to her. And I don't think he really has done that with anybody fully. I mean, we've gotten the whole story because we're in his head from certain points. And so we've seen all the bits and pieces, but seeing them all laid out together like this was insane. Zex really wants things to work with John Matthew, but she keeps trying to push him away. And then we have the major drama between Quinn and Blaze still going on. Blaze actually going on a date with somebody else, and I'm okay with this because Quinn needs to figure out his crap. I mean, obviously we're getting their book later. I know he will eventually, but, you know, and I don't think Quinn's intentionally being an ass to him. It's one of those things where he's trying to figure out his feelings too, because he was kind of blindsided when when Blay admitted that he had feelings for him, because he'd never thought of him that way, never even considered it, you know. So it's just one of those things where it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm really, really enjoying what's going on within the story. And I really just want to dive back in. I'm going to try to check in at least one more time before I hit the end of this. But I don't know. If I keep getting sucked in the way that I am, I might just be wrapping up the whole thing at the end. I don't know. I'm going to try to get you at least one more clip. Alrighty. So I did read another about 100 pages since we last chatted. And one thing I forgot to mention in the last clip is that Lash has had a falling out with Daddy Dearest now. And so that's making for some interesting things within the plot in regards to the Lessening Society. And so now Lash is kind of gone rogue. And that's a little scary because Lash was already a scary dude. A rogue Lash is pretty scary. But the other thing we've been dealing with in the last 100 pages is Zex is starting to realize that being mated to John Matthew wouldn't necessarily be so bad because he does truly understand her. He wouldn't make her be a kept woman. He would still let her go out and fight and all those kinds of things. He's not going to take that away from her. And it's kind of eye-opening to her. And she had gone out on her own and it felt wrong because John Matthew wasn't with her and all those kinds of things. So it's just really interesting. And I'm interested to see where this one ends up. I mean, it could go a couple of different ways at this point, so I'm interested to see which way J.R. Ward is going to take. Okay, I just had to quickly pop on here and talk about Lovermine a little bit. I'm 530 pages in. I just finished up the conversation where John Matthew and Tor finally clear the air, and oh my gosh, that was a beautiful moment. And I love that Z came and talked with John about kind of dealing with his past traumas and things and talking to someone about it, whether it's a therapist or whether it's someone that they know that's close that would understand. And it was just, oh, it's so good. Guys, like, I can't even. This book keeps getting better. This isn't my favorite like I hoped it would be, but I've got about 90 pages left. I'm ready for them to deal with the Lash crap and get some resolution so that these two can finally be happy. So, here we go. All right, friends, I've officially finished Lovermine. I'm going to end up giving it a solid 4. There were some frustrations. It could have been a 5. But this book is very much about healing and healing from your past and moving forward and looking forward. And it's so good. I ended up really enjoying the changes that John and Zex both go through and the character development that happens through their interactions together. They go to dark places in this one. I'm not going to shy away from that. But the healing that they do from those dark places, I feel outweighs the fact that they had to go there. But all in all, I did enjoy it. I'm still really enjoying the series. I hope you guys enjoy watching this series on my channel. I'm really excited for the next couple books because we've got Pain, who we've met recently. And she's going to be with Manny, I guess, which I don't know how I feel about that yet. I need to see them interact first. And then we're going to get Tor's book. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have mixed feelings and opinions on that one. Just because of Tor and Wellesley. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. And it's going to depend on how the book rolls out, obviously. So that'll be the next episode in this series. Again, I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, so both of these books were still good. I'm still a fan of the series. And yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Let me know in the comments down below what you've thought of these books if you've read them, and I will see you next time. Bye.